Hello everyone, welcome to lecture 2 of our programming with C++. I go by the name Faustina Pupa Ababus. So in our previous lecture we covered the basics of C++, and this lecture we are going to dive deeper into one of the most fundamental concepts of programming, data types. Okay, so think of data types as the building blocks of your program. They determine what kind of information your program can work with and how that information is stored in memory. So, learning objectives. Learning objectives. By the end of today's lecture, you'll have a solid understanding of several key concepts. So first, we'll explore C++ data types. These these are the different categories of data that C++ can work with, like numbers, letters, and true or false values. Next, we'll learn about fundamental types, including booleans, and that's for the true or false values, and then character types for letters and symbols, integer types for whole numbers, floating point types for decimal numbers, and then void for um, a special type that represents nothing. And in our second part of our lecture, we'll cover declarations, how to tell the computer what kind of data you want to work with. We'll learn about the structure of declarations, okay, and the proper way to write them, declaring multiple names, how to create several variables at once. Okay, so and then names and scope. That's understanding where variables can be used in programming. Okay, and initialization, how to give your variable starting values. These concepts are essential for writing effective C++ programs. So let's dive in. So, what are data types? Let's start with the basics. Data types refer to the various forms that data can be represented in a programming language. Think of data types like different containers in your kitchen. You have containers for liquid, containers for solid, containers for small items, and containers for large items. Each container is designed for a specific purpose. Okay. In programming, data types work the same. They tell the computer what kind of information you are storing and how to handle it. For example, you handle whole numbers differently than you handle decimal numbers or letters. Common examples include integers for whole numbers, floats for decimal numbers, and booleans for true or false values. And then categories of data types. So C++ organize data types into several categories, and it's helpful for understanding this organization. So one, we have integral types that which include integers, characters, and booleans. These are all types that represent whole values or discrete choices. And then arithmetic types include both integral types and floating point types. These are types you can do math with. So the third one is user-defined type, that which include enumerations and classes. These are types that you create yourself for specific purposes. And the next one is built-in types. This include fundamental types, pointers, and references. These are types that C++ provides ready-made. Understanding data types. So moving on to understanding data sets rather. So each data type has what we call a data set. Okay, this is the range of values that the data type can represent. Think of it like the capacity of different containers. For example, a small cup can hold a certain amount of liquid, and then a specialized container might only hold specific types of items. Okay, so similarly, each data type can only hold certain kinds of values, and understanding these limits is important for writing reliable programs. And then um, data set examples. Okay, so we have examples. Let's look at some specific examples of data sets. So integer data set can hold whole numbers, both positive and negative, numbers. Okay. Example include -2 or um, just 2 without any negatives and symbol attached to it, since it can hold both positive and negative numbers. And then we have floats or floating points. Okay. So floating point is a data type that hold decimal numbers with single precision. Okay, so example 3.14 and then -2.5 and then sorry, and then you can mention them. Okay, so double also. Moving on to the double precision floating point. That one too can hold decimal numbers with much higher precision than floats. Okay, so example include um 3.141596 and then blah blah blah. Okay. You can also have -2.718828 then. Okay. So the key difference between float and double is accuracy. Double can store more decimal places. So data set example continues. Moving on to character. Character data type can hold letters, numbers, and symbols. Example include A, but note that with character data type, the um, the symbol or letter or number should be in quotation mark, a single quotation mark. Okay, note that one is very important. And then moving on to Boolean. Boolean data type can only hold two values, true or false. This might seem limited, but it's incredibly useful for making um, decisions in your programs. Moving on to the string data type. That one too can hold combinations of characters, essentially text. Okay, so example is hello and then C++ programming. You can also provide your own examples following the examples I said and then giving. So note that characters use single quotes, as I said earlier on, while strings use double quotes. This is an example distinction in C++. And then moving on to data sizes. Okay, so data sizes refers to how memory and how much. Okay, data size refers to how much memory each data type uses. This is important because one, memory is limited, and then two, different operations have different speed requirements, and then three, understanding sizes helps you write efficient programs. Okay, so here are the typical sizes for fundamental data types. Okay, so one is integer uses four bytes. Okay, so integer uses 4 bytes. That's enough space for numbers from about -2 billion to um, +2 billion. Okay, and then float also uses 4 bytes, but stores decimal numbers with about 7 digits of precision. And then double also uses 8 bytes, and it stores decimal numbers with about 15 digits of precision. Okay, and then character also uses 1 byte. That's the smallest unit, but perfect for single numbers or symbols. And then Boolean also uses 1 byte. Even though it only needs to store true or false, it uses a full byte for efficiency. Okay, so the next one is string. So the string also uses 32 bytes. This is for the string object itself, not including the actual text content. And then so we are going to um, we are going to see how to declare and use integers in C++. So first, um, you type your hash include iostream. That's the input, and then the output. That's the preprocessor. And then next one, using namespace std, you bring your int main, then you bring your parentheses, then you open your curly braces. So we are using int. So int, then your variable. So here int is the data type, and then x. Let's use x. Okay, so x is the identifier, and then you bring your assignment operator. Yeah, so assignment operator, then you bring your value. Any value can be any value, then you will terminate it. Next, you can also use the same data type. So we are using int. So you bring your int, and then your identifier. The identifier, let's use student. Then you bring your assignment operator, and then you bring your value. Your value, yeah. Then you terminate it. Moving on to float point type. Moving on to float. So here the float is a single precision. Okay, so about 7 decimal digits, as I said earlier on. So with the float, you bring your data type, which is float, and then your identifier, let's use amount, and then you bring your assignment operator. So the float, let's use 12.72, and then you terminate it. Let's use the same data type again. So float, then the identifier, let's use average. And then you bring your assignment operator. Average, let's use 85.6. Then you terminate it. So moving on to the Boolean. So the Boolean can only have two values, which is true or false, or 1 or 0, and or maybe yes or no, or on or off. Okay. So as I said earlier on, so we'll do same for the Boolean also. So it follows the same process. You bring your data type, which is bool, and then you bring your identifier. Identifier, because it's a Boolean which deals with true or false, is also is always comes in the form of a question. Okay, so here we are using it's raining. Okay, it's raining. Then you bring your assignment operator. It can be true, it can be false, but here, of course, it's raining here, so it's true. Then you bring your terminate, you terminate it. Yeah. And then let's use the same data type. So bool, yeah. So we are using has done m. Okay, so let's use is passing or is eating. Is eating. Okay. Then you bring your assignment operator. It's eating, of course. No one is eating here, so false. Moving on to character. So character can include letters, numbers, and symbols. Okay, so um, you follow the same approach. So you bring your data type, that's car, and then you bring your identifier, that's grade. So grade, and then you bring your assignment operator, and then you bring A. Of course, everyone wants A. So remember to put it in a single quotation mark. Yes, you terminate it. And then we are using the same data type, so car, and then symbol. Then you bring your assignment operator, and then let's use the dollar sign. Let's use the dollar symbol. Okay, then you terminate it. So moving on to string data type. String data type. String can contain 0 or more characters. Okay. They are enclosed in double quotation marks. Oh, looks like my battery is getting low. But don't worry. So strings are enclosed in double quotation marks, whilst character is enclosed with single quotation mark. So string, which is the data type, and then the identifier, let's keep it name, and then bring your assignment to paper, and then let's use spending. In a double quotation mark, remember, very important. And then you terminate it. And then let's use the same data type again. So string. let's give it um, uh, let's give it greetings. Okay, so greeting. And then you bring your assignments with that. And then let's say good evening or hello, just hello, hello, yeah. And then so so here we are coming to see out all um, the declarations we've made here. So starting from the int data type, so we see out. Remember the C is always small letter. C out um, X, C out X, and then you bring your end line. Then you terminate. And then we are also see out the student. So see out student. Remember to put it in a double quotation mark. Then student, and then you end your line. So end line you terminate. We are done with the eight. So moving on to the food. So see out the same process. You can say I didn't bring my quotation mark, so I deleted it and then I fixed it. So the average. We are doing same for the average. And then you end your line. Moving on to the bool expression. The bool data type. Okay, so let's do same for the it's raining. Okay. So is it raining? Yeah. Always the bool comes in the form of a question. Okay, so we are see out in is it is raining. Then is it 18? You bring your double quotation mark. Moving on to the next data type, which is car. So we see out grade. Then you end line, you terminate, and then you see out symbol, you terminate. Moving on to the next data type, which is string. You see out name, you end line, and then um, greetings. You see out greetings, then you end line, you terminate. So we are done. Now let's run our code to get the output. So now um, you can see our code has run. So we can see it here. You can see the output x25 students 40 and then amount. You can see all that here. Moving on to void. With the void is a unique and the void is unique, okay, and it also signifies the absence of information. Think of it as representing nothing or no value, okay. So the key characteristics of void, it can only be used as part of more complicated types. It's mostly used with functions, okay. So now we are going to create our own function, our own void function. So void, we call it my function. Okay. Then you bring your parentheses, bracket. You bring your curly braces. You see out I'm 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 happy. Okay, let's see out I'm happy. So you end line, okay, and then we come and call it in the main function. So let's come to the main function. So let's call it so let's call our void let's call our function. So my function will bring your brackets and then you terminate it. So now let's run and see. So we can see it here. I'm happy it has run. Okay. So that's all for the void function. Moving on to composite type. So beyond fundamental types, C++ also has composite types, okay, which are which are built from fundamental types. Pointers, pointers, okay. So we have pointers, arrays, and then reference types. So pointers, what are pointers? Pointers are variables that store memory addresses. Okay, they are variables that store memory addresses, and arrays arrays are the collections of elements of the same type. And then reference type are the aliases for existing variables. Okay, so we'll cover this in detail in future lectures. Okay, for now, just know that they exist. For now, just know that they exist and are built on top of the fundamental types we are learning today. And then declaring multiple names. Declaring multiple names. You see, sometimes you need several variables of the same type. Instead of writing separate declarations, you can declare multiple names in a single declaration using commas for separation. This is most commonly done for similar data type and can also make your code more concise. Concise, okay. And that, so let's look at the practical section in declaring multiple variables. Okay, so int x, you terminate, and then int y, you terminate. So instead of the int x you terminate, then you move on to the next line, int y you terminate. You can also do it this way. So you can also do it this way to make it um, more concise. Okay. So moving on to the initialization. So we are coming to initialize or declare a variable to what we just declared. Okay. So int int x int x comma y. That's what we are going to assign values to. Okay. So you bring your identifier, your assignment operator, and then you assign a value to it. So let's give it 25. You terminate. You bring your comma, then y, you bring your assignment operator. Let's give it 5. So now let's run our code and then okay, so we don't see anything here because um we didn't see out any any value. So with that we can't see anything here when you run your code. Okay. So let's see out the values we've assigned and see out y. So now let's run it then. Okay, so now we can see